Wow, guys, Minecraft Live is already over, and it has not come to disappoint this year. I love a lot, if not all, of the new features that are coming in this update, and I kind of just wanted to break it down a little bit and maybe share some points where I think that this update could improve or change so that we can understand how Mojang can bring the best possible experience to their community. Now, I am not the leading authority on Minecraft development, so please don't take my ideas for fact or anything like that, but I do think it's really fun to just share my thoughts with all of you guys. Anyways, let's get things started. Before we get into too much, though, I think it's best to just do a quick recap of all the features that were announced this Saturday, just so that we have a bit of a common understanding and playing ground, so that it'll become a lot easier to talk throughout this video. Now, what was announced this Minecraft Live? There was only really one major feature announced this Minecraft Live, but I think it's actually quite a good one. Also, we do have to remember that Minecraft has changed their update structure, so this is not going to be the only update for an entire year. This is just one of a couple smaller updates that we are going to be getting. Anyways, this one biome called the Pale Gardens is honestly really cool looking. It takes the idea of being really eerie, really creepy, really monotone, and kind of puts it all together into one biome. Now, there are a couple special features within this biome. One of these major features being the very new mob, the Creaking. This is a mob that does not take damage, looks quite terrifying, and is very in tone with the rest of the biome. And this great tonal structure works so well because it also doesn't come out until nighttime, giving a sense of fear if you stay in the biome for too long after dark. And this is where this mob gets really interesting. As Mojang described it, this shouldn't feel like a normal mob. It should feel like a puppet of the actual living trees. This kind of creates like the idea of an ecosystem and makes it feel very alive. I think this is honestly really amazing and a very good decision by Mojang. Now, what do I mean by it's a puppet? Well, the Creaking, a mob that doesn't take any damage, relies on the surrounding trees to survive. So, what do I mean by this? The Creaking has a special block that is attached to it called the Creaking Heart. Now, it can only survive if this block is within the trees. So, when a player breaks it, the Creaking dies. This is honestly a really cool mechanic, and I think that it can be brought to a lot of the rest of the game in some potential future updates. So that is most of the never before seen content out of the way, but this biome also has a couple new blocks that comes along with it. I actually think that they are very well designed. So first off, there is the wood type that is found in the Pale Gardens. This is a white wood type, which I think has kind of been needed a lot recently. A lot of other blocks like blues and greens have gotten a lot more love in the recent Minecraft updates, but white has kind of fallen short where you only really have concrete, bones, and quartz. This white wood type does look very nice, and I can see it being used a lot. There is also the new moss, which is a little bit more monotone to kind of fit with the rest of the biome, but it has its carpet and hanging variants that come along with it. Again, I can just see this being used for every single natural thing out there, maybe even for a little bit of path blocks to be mixed in with your stones, your gravels, your tufts, all those kinds of blocks. But as far as features go, that's all that's coming in this update that'll be releasing in a few months, as Mojang has said. Anyways, I do have a couple of ideas that I think could be changed or altered just so that this update is as good as possible for the community. So I'm just going to dive into what I think should be changed or could be added. When I was watching Minecraft live, I did notice one glaring issue with this new biome, and that is the fact that it is extremely reliant on the fact that it is nighttime for any of its features to come into effect. This is an idea I'm actually extremely on board with. I love the idea that more of the game is based on the certain times of day, and I honestly think that it'll bring a lot of agency to this otherwise pretty simple biome. Now, the problem with this is that players have beds, and it's kind of hard for players not to use beds. They're one of, if not the most overpowered items in the game. Now, I don't have anything against beds, and we all use them, myself included, but I really do think that it limits the impact of these features if players are just going to sleep through them all the time. So, I have an idea where instead of being able just to sleep through all of these really cool features and having people hardly interact with them, you instead disallow players from being able to sleep in this new Pale Grove biome. I think it will revitalize the importance of survival during nighttime. Now, I think a solution to the problem of players just sleeping away all these amazing features is pretty simple. I have a couple of ideas at least, where maybe there could be a new mob, a passive mob that kind of runs around the Pale Gardens wherever it so pleases. And it has this enormous radius where players just can't sleep beside it because it's very loud or something along the lines of that. There's also another really easy solution with similar features to kind of what we've already seen in this Minecraft Live. They did show these carpets that had sort of creeping moss effects on nearby blocks going upwards. I think that they could use this kind of creeping vine, creeping moss effect on beds when players place them down, kind of indicating that something is wrong with their bed when they use it in this biome. Then, when they try and use it, it says that they can't. I actually really love this idea a lot because it would be so easy to add. All they'd have to do is simply take two of their already existing textures and put them together, and then add the effect of not being able to sleep. Both of these options are honestly, in their own right, very easy fixes. And I think it would really change and improve what they're trying to go for in all aspects and make it so that players have an amazing experience and honestly terrifying experience in this biome, almost similar to the ancient city, which I think is kind of what they're trying to go for, if not a little less intense and maybe a bit more on the creepy side, instead of being outright dangerous. Another issue I noticed while looking over all the new features that they're adding in the Pale Grove update, at least that's what I'm going to call it for now because I don't think this update actually has a name yet, is the creaking itself. From how Mojang described how they want this update to kind of feel is kind of spooky, scary, and eerie. And I really think that to make it kind of terrifying, similar again to the ancient city, is to have the creaking be more powerful. Currently, it does around like a heart of damage in full iron armor, is what I saw from the footage, and this is kind of weird if they're trying to make this mob scary. What makes the Warden terrifying, again, a great example for this, is the fact that it is really dangerous. No player wants to go up against that unless they are incredibly prepared for it. And I think the creaking Definitely shouldn't be nearly as powerful as the Warden, but I think if it did a heart or so more damage, I think it would generally be a lot more threatening to players, especially since from, again, the footage, it looks like you'd be facing at least more than one, so 2 or 3 at a time, and this would again just ensure that Mojang is really getting the vibe that they want to get. So, the past couple of ideas that I've had have focused more on the player not getting the experience that Mojang wants kind of aspect of this update. And I honestly prioritize that the most. I think it is the most important that players experience their new biome as best as possible. This idea, however, doesn't really follow that trend. And that is totally okay. It is fine to have more out there ideas. I just want to acknowledge the fact that this probably won't get added versus the other features, which I think are actually very integral to keeping this biome relevant. Now, though this update is incredibly good for builders, giving builders white wood, which will be incredibly helpful, not everyone in Minecraft expresses their creativity through building. And I think it's important to bring something to the game that is just a little bit more than building. This could be, in my idea's case, a structure where players can get rewarded for coming into this dangerous biome. Now, I don't think a traditional structure like a witch hut or a village would work very well in this biome's case. However, something a little more obscure and something similar to what's been in a recent Minecraft update could work. What I'm talking about is the trail ruin, and hear me out, yes, it is currently an exorbitantly underused structure, but I do think it has merit. And I think if we altered the structure to kind of fit the vibe of this biome, by having it feel, instead of like a long, winding tunnel structure, to feel more like a long, winding root structure. And I think a lot of the ambience that they're trying to go for in this biome could very easily be implemented into this structure, with maybe hanging moss all over the place, as well as some glowberry-like items, and maybe lots and lots of particles, as well as maybe reduced viewing distance, like the darkness effect. There is also ample opportunity to add a very fun, kind of cartoonish feature of the walls of this inner root having eyes, like the orange eyes you see on the Creaking. This could be so fun and really give that spooky vibe that Mojang are looking for in this biome. Now, with this idea, I will admit that it is a challenge, especially since they've already shown most of the major features, and this would just be another major feature to add onto it. However, I really think that all of these ideas together could really come together to make this biome one of the best in the entire game. Now, I have talked a lot about my own ideas for this video, so I'm actually really interested in what you guys think and what you guys want to see come as a part of this update. I am really, really excited, as always, for any new Minecraft content, as well as all of your opinions on it. So please just leave a comment, like, subscribe, whatever, just so that you can share your opinion. I am always really grateful for that kind of support, as always, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.